I think the squad's capable of better than it's produced.
Are you a believer now?
Oh, crikey.
Still a distinct possibility they end the season in the top six.
You're very good at home. They're not very good away. Helberg appears to know what he's doing.
Hull City and Millwall are kind of like the sausage in the in the fry-up.
Hello guys and welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled, brought to you by Betfred. I'm joined by Benjamin Bloom and Gab Sutton to discuss everything to do with the Championship, and there's some big news to start with because Martí Cifuentes has been sacked by Leicester City. Gab, I think it's the perfect place to start, isn't it? Big news, lost 2-1 at home to Oxford. Right decision for you?
I think the squad's capable of better than it's produced. If you go player by player, I think there's a lot of issues at Leicester City with regard to at the top of the club, and also John Rudkin, the director of football, who said very little in the last 10 years, and for a long time that was credited as being, they're smart, they don't say much, they keep things in-house, but actually it feels when things are going wrong, you want your director of football to be a bit more public-facing, to take a bit more accountability, and it also feels like Top trusts John Rudkin when it comes to big decisions, because Top doesn't have a huge amount of footballing knowledge himself, and that means that sometimes John Rudkin's judgment hasn't always been great over the last few years. So I think there's a lot of problems there, and I think Martí Cifuentes has been a bit of a fall guy for that. But should Leicester City be in the bottom half without the points deduction? The answer to that's probably no.
Yeah, and I think the Vardys were coming after Rudkin as well this weekend on social media. Difficult defeat at home to Oxford, and it felt like definitely the kind of final straw for Cifuentes' poor reign in charge. Definitely
the sort of game that gets you sacked, isn't it? 2-1 home defeat against a team that was in League One a couple of years ago. Of course, no disrespect to Oxford. They turned up, they got the job done. I don't know whether the players had that in their head if they weren't particularly happy with Martí Cifuentes. I reacted to this yesterday and I had a really good comment from a Leicester fan that said Marty wasn't really the problem, but he was neither the solution either, in that you're right, there's obviously this long, bad decisions in terms of spending, and we think multiple PSR breaches that some are never going to be punished, and we're still waiting potentially for the most recent one, plus two other offences that are a bit more clear-cut to be sanctioned. That's in the works at the moment. And I guess my question to you is, what sort of manager can you get 18 rounds from the end of the season with that instability and the potential for, I don't know, we just pull the numbers out of the air now, 3, 5, 7, 9 points to be hacked off with a squad that isn't performing and grossly underperforming and doesn't look very happy? I look at Leicester as a club almost on the brink of freefall. In all seriousness, now I know I've been called biased on it before, saying Leicester can go down. I've said it for quite a few months. They are in massive relegation danger right now. If they get 8-9 points deducted, they are on the brink of the relegation zone. And I don't trust this squad, given what we've seen so far from them, Gab, to be able to get them out of it. By the way, coming in part 2, we are going to do a deep dive into the Championship's relegation battle, so stay tuned for that one. But yeah, who do you think would take this job? Because I don't actually think it's a particularly appealing job right now, Gab.
No, I think somebody I would look for is somebody like Brian Barry Murphy at Cardiff City, who's doing an excellent job there. He's someone I've regarded very highly as a coach, going back to his time at Rochdale.
In all seriousness, though, would he take it? Cardiff doing well in League One, top of the league.
They're going up, aren't they?
They're going up. They're going to be on a far more stable footing than Leicester are. Would he move?
I would argue that Cardiff and Leicester are similarly run club, but similar issues in terms of the running of them. I wouldn't say Cardiff are necessarily a better run club than Leicester City.
I don't think anybody said Cardiff are well run in the last 10 years, have they, Gav?
No, so, and I think Leicester, if they get it right, there's probably a bit more potential. So I would argue, with Leicester City, they have got a very good academy, and I'll be looking for somebody who can develop some young players and possibly some saleable assets, because I think that's how they rebuild.
Yeah, Andy King, I think, looks likely to kind of take charge or manage the ship as it's going right now. He's a name in the frame. Russell Martin, Lee Carsley, Steven Gerrard. Saw Will Still on the telly this weekend as well, probably a worthy candidate. Any of them?
I just don't. I just don't see how you get somebody in and you're giving someone an 18-month, 2-year contract, and managers want longer than that. Whether they're going to get that time, they want the contract length to guarantee that they, make what they need to, even if they are sacked. I don't know. Do they go in for someone temporary until the end of the season, and maybe they just go with Andy King? But I think we just need this sanction and this hearing to be finished before anything really clear there. What we'll find out, though, will we get a Tonda Eka moment where the players might not have been having the manager, and all of a sudden, like Azaz and Armstrong, maybe Mavadidi and Fatawu start scoring 8 goals in the next 8 games or whatever those two did. But yeah, be very interested in the Leicester fans' view on who can come in, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your thoughts in the comments down below, Leicester fans. Who do you want to be the next manager? We should talk about the flip side of that result, though, because Matt Bloomfield, Gab, he's had a brilliant start to life at Oxford, unbeaten so far, 3 points from safety, 5 points from 3 games. Looking kind of impressive. And I know we have to caveat that with they were playing Leicester team that looked like they're thrown in the towel in, to be honest with you. But real positive signs for Oxford.
Well, I like to do a bit of networking with out-of-work managers.
You're taking credit for this, aren't you? I forgot about this. Yes.
So with Matt Bloomfield and his assistant Mike Dodds, I met Matt Bloomfield for lunch and Mike Dodds for coffee. So
what did Matt Bloomfield have for lunch? That's what I'm interested in.
I can't remember actually. We went to a nice place called Mrs Salisbury's of Malden somewhere in Essex, so that was quite nice.
Very nice. And what pearls of wisdom did you impart on him in his new Oxford team?
I taught him everything he needs to know. But I think what sort of struck me from sort of speaking to both of them is I think Matt Bloomfield's a very energetic motivator. He's someone who ran the dressing room at Wycombe for a very long period during his time as a senior player there. And Mike Dodds, I think, is a very good technical coach. I think he's someone who can motivate players on a one-to-one basis, put an arm around the shoulder, encourage individual players to shine, I suppose. He did that with Jude Bellingham, no less, and other young players like that. Whereas I think Matt Bloomfield is better at motivating a group of players and bringing that leadership. And I think between them, they could be onto something special. And it was a nice embrace between them after the final whistle.
Agree with that, Ben? And been impressed with Bloomfield's Oxford?
You can't not be, really, because you're just looking for some kind of bounce when you're down in the bottom 3 and you change manager. Obviously, the bar's quite high for a bounce because Gary Rowett obviously went in, and I think they were literally if you snapshotted 7-8 games, literally the best team in the league when he went in there. Obviously, and it may be reductive, people will say, this is a manager who knows how to do well in League One should Oxford go down. Whether that's fair or not, it is true, because that Wycombe side up against the might of Birmingham and Wrexham financially last year were right. I know Wycombe had money of their own, particularly, but we shall see. I think we said the same thing about Liam Manning as well. Matt, stay still. Don't move, don't jump, stay at Oxford, build this. Good work at Colchester, really good work at Wycombe. I remember you were certain he can't jump from Wycombe. And you were wrong about him jumping, but you were right that he probably shouldn't have, and just didn't work out at Luton. But yeah, let's see if he can lay down some roots at Oxford, where Liam Manning literally didn't, and now finds himself at Huddersfield. So yeah, really, really good start. Let's see what's under the hood coming forward. I think Oxford might do a little bit more. They've already done like 5 in the window already. They might do a little bit more.
I think Jamie McDonnell is a fantastic signing. I had a Colchester United fan on my podcast last season, and he was absolutely waxing lyrical about Jamie McDonnell, the work rate that he's got, what a competitor he is. He's actually quite good in the air, despite being a very short midfielder. And you can see he's made a difference as he's gone up the league. League's been fantastic for Mansfield in League One this season, and fully deserved that shot at the Championship. So yeah, he's going to be one to watch in the second half of the season.
Absolutely. I would just caveat the Bloomfield start with, I think they have had kind fixtures. They had 2 home games and then an away game at Leicester, but they've gone undefeated. You can't put them down too much. We should look at the top of the table, because Borough 4-0. Coventry in action, by the way. Norwich on Monday night. We're recording on Monday afternoon, so we have to talk about Borough and Ipswich first. Borough 4, Preston 0. Ben, they're just looking better and better. Hellberg goes 4 in a row once again.
Yeah, Hellberg appears to know what he's doing, and we were talking about Borough striking options, and we're having Borough fans in the comments saying Conway needs upgrading, and he's got 3 goals in his last 2. Deja vu, wasn't it? Because it was Brown and then Conway in midweek at Stoke, and then Brown and Conway again to open this one up. Yes, Preston are in a bit of a bad spot at the moment, but it's 4-0 and it's a 9-point week, and you know me, I always flag up teams that go back-to-back away in these 3-game weeks and win. It's just very, very impressive from Middlesbrough, isn't it? I know the Sarmiento thing has been rumbling for a couple of weeks now. I think they're going to do a little bit more. We've discussed Hackney to death. He's not going anywhere. And I wonder whether the market and the bookies in a couple of weeks might flip on Borough and Ipswich if Borough can get through the next 3 games. Ipswich then go on their world tour of away games through February, and Borough have an all right run. I think if they're second in 3 games' time, I think it's Norwich, and then it's a big one against Coventry, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, they've got Coventry away. Do they still have to play Ipswich away as well later in the season?
Round 42.
There you go. But you're right, there's 3 games. I think one of them's Norwich, one of them's Coventry away, and I think there's 3 games coming up where if they can get out of that relatively unscathed and in second...
They could run in second. There's a 5-point gap now. So, yeah, this looks like we were all like, the world's falling in when Rob Edwards walked out, but has it actually worked out better with Hellball?
I don't think they'd be second with Rob Edwards still in charge. I'll make that statement.
Bold.
And we'll never know, but I think Hellberg's made this team far better. I think Addison Malander as well.
They've got to back him by Hellberg or High Water.
Oh, there you go. You had to
what
get
are
that
you
one
doing,
in.
Gav?
Dear me. Addison Malander, by the way, centre-back, looks really impressive for Middlesbrough. 4 league starts and 4 wins. Just looks to have taken them up a level and really helped them out. What have you made of Borough in general? Really impressed?
So impressed. The one that caught me out was Matt Targett's ball over the top for Alan Brown. And it's great when you've got a midfielder making those runs and not just leaving it to the forwards to get into those positions. And that can really unhinge opponents. So
Paul Hackenbottom weren't happy with that goal. He said it was a rubbish goal.
No, I think, rubbish from North End's point of view. I think Jamal Lewis will probably question his tracking back, and Odlefire caught out a few times, wasn't he? So definitely some big defensive question marks for Preston North End, which has been a bit uncharacteristic of them the last week or so.
Gab, if any club should know what Alan Brown's about to do, it's Preston, isn't it?
I know, yeah. You had the manual for a number of years, yes.
Preston, though, 0-point week as well, you're right to point out. 4 defeats in a row if we count the FA Cup home loss to Wigan as well, Gab. That's 4 defeats in a row without scoring. Playoffs feel like they're slipping away slightly from Preston, but we do sometimes see this second half of the season regression from them. Is it a case of that happening again?
I think whenever it's an underdog that's competing towards the top, we're often quicker to apply doubt when they go on a bad run than we might be if it was more of a fancied team. So I think for that reason there is that assumption that they're going to drop off. I think we have to give Paul Heckingbottom a little bit of credit for what they've done, but I think they definitely need a left-sided defender, because they played a back 3 at Middlesbrough. Odlefire was playing on the left, and I think he's right-footed, and I think that looks a bit awkward, doesn't it? So I certainly think that they need 1 or 2 additions just to steady the ship a little bit and get back to some of those principles we saw from them in the first half of the season.
Yeah, we kind of expected a few of the teams in the playoffs, and we'll come on to Hull in a bit to have this have this sort of drop off. But Preston, yeah, I'm a little bit concerned for them.
Well, you pointed me out an article about the Hemmings family, and this is a tale as old as time, isn't it? Rich owners, but really in comparison to Wrexham, Birmingham, Ipswich, where there's hedge funds and Hollywood, not at the level of wealth that turns the needle. And we know in the Championship you can get kind of stuck, can't you, in the middle of it there, and there's the PSR now, and the 3 parachute teams come in every season, and there is an idea that they're looking for, what did it say? Further opportunities globally, which means they need some money to push things. And I think the first comment underneath that had said, Heckingbottom, give him some help, left high and dry, we're in a great position, sort the pitch out, give him some players. So, it does feel like even if you are doing a good job at Preston, do you need a little bit more help? And, well, do you think we'll see some movement in terms of... And this is the oldest club in English football. I don't know how the purists are going to feel about possibly American or Arab money coming in at Preston as well. But this is where we are right now, and that might be exactly what they need.
If he gets them to the Premier League, I'm not sure there are many complainers. We should talk about Sheffield United 3, Ipswich 1, because Ipswich, after their little winning run, have slipped up and dropped points, which has allowed Middlesbrough to make a little... I
felt a bit patronising, Simon. Their little winning run, hey? There speaks the Coventry fan, Gav.
Yeah, I was allowed to breathe a little on Saturday when I did check that result, especially after seeing Middlesbrough hammer Preston in the early game. Blades had lost their last two, so it was very Chris Wilder to go in here and win this one, Gab.
Yeah, certainly. I think the big thing that stands out is they look a lot more like the Sheffield United we saw from last season, and I think because of the disrupted start to the season, because of the decision they initially made on Chris Wilder and how that affected the preparations, it's meant that we've seen flickers of it, but maybe not with the consistency they would have liked, epitomised by the back-to-back defeats before this game, obviously. But I think they brought in Gus Harmer back into the 11, and I think that made a big difference because he plays those searching balls with a lot of accuracy in behind, and when you've got runners like Callum O'Hare, Andre Brooks, and the like, it does make a big difference, and it can carve deep.
Literally
open.
2 of the goals, wasn't it, Gav?
Exactly. First time, right-footed on the volley over the top.
Oh,
it's funny that playing one of the best players in the league helps your team.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Weird. Yeah.
Football's a simple game sometimes. Thrown to you for any issues for Ipswich, Ben, which I'll try not to smart about and smirk about too much. It seems to me, look, Marcelino Nunes is a bit of the key here to Ipswich,
possibly,
and when he's not in the team, he struggled to function quite the same way.
Can we just say he's managed to bring up Gus Harmer, and it was actually appropriate this week. He manages to mention him every week somehow with his sky blue glasses on there. But so Nunes is an issue, isn't it? It felt like the number 10 was a problem that had then been solved, and this will really annoy fans of other Championship clubs because we're talking about Smodics and Akpom, 2 Golden Boot winners, but just doesn't work in a Connor Chaplin, Amari Hutchinson type way in the 10. And we wonder, does Anis Mehmeti, who literally arrived on Friday, go straight into the 10 against Preston if Nunes is not around?
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think Nunes is more of a link player in terms of knitting the whole team together, whereas if you look at Schmodics and Akpom, I think they're second strikers, goal scorers running beyond.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And it just doesn't work the same way. So maybe you're right, and Mehmeti's a little more...
Yeah, it's just weird because Chaplin scored so many goals and he was a finisher, but I think we underestimate the link play that he did as well. But looking at the game, I mean, it sounds obvious, first goal's vital, but particularly for Ipswich this season. And they just let it go, didn't they, in the first half, and when you're 2 down at half-time. I mean, you were very disrespectful about Ipswich's winning round, Simon. But if you're going to do that and have a bit of a hapless game and throw one away, do it away from home, do it once, and then get back on something we've seen Millwall be very good at, go on another unbeaten run. So we shall see. But I still, and you can tell me it's my fan delusion, I'm still very worried about these back-to-back away games to start February.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that Borough and Coventry both have to go to Sheffield United away still. I know we're getting a bit too nailed into this run-in where there's, 16, 17 games. You can't be
too nailed into this run-in.
It's very exciting. I want to bring another team into the mix though, Gab, because Hull City, same amount of points as Ipswich, same amount of games played, 5 points behind Middlesbrough, with a game in hand, beat Swansea 2-1. A 9-point week for them. It just keeps getting better. They just keep winning games. They're well in this promotion race.
Well, Simon, my heart wants to make it just about the top 3 when it comes to the automatic promotion race, because that's what feels right. It feels like it's Middlesbrough, Ipswich and Coventry. I shouldn't have listed Coventry last there. That was probably a mistake. But if you go on your head, you look at the league table, Hull City are level on points with Ipswich Town. So, by logic says that if we're including Ipswich Town in the automatic promotion race, which obviously we are, we have to talk about Hull City, and I think they rode their luck a little bit on Saturday against Swansea.
What is it about that seat? Eh? Ollie Mann was saying exactly the same thing last week.
Yeah.
They ride their luck, they concede chances, and they win games of football.
That's the key bit.
But I get they do have players who can provide a threat. They got Joe Gelhardt in the 10. They've got Carl Joseph on the right. They've got Ollie McBurney up top. So whenever they put the ball into the box, they've got players who are there to go and attack it. And even when they're not necessarily running games or dominating, they still carry that threat because they've got 3 centre forwards by trade on the pitch.
Can I do your job, Simon? Can I ask Gab a question?
Please do.
Ollie McBurney, free transfer, under embargo. He's got the equivalent of 15 appearances and I think 15 goal contributions. Is there a better signing in the Championship this season than McBurney?
I think the solution might be to give Hull less money. Because whenever they've had money, they've been they've not been as intelligent as they could have been with it. But actually, when they've had a transfer embargo and all sorts of problems off the pitch, that's how it's somehow worked for them. So I think Chris Wilder at Sheffield United will be a bit miffed to have missed out on that one.
Kieran Dowling as well.
Yes,
Simon last week.
Yeah, experienced, good player. I want to point out a name that I'm absolutely about to butcher.
Is it Gus Harmer?
Amir Hadzimetovic.
Well done.
Hey, did all right there. Midfield of Hull City. Started really slowly this season, but he's actually formed a really nice partnership alongside Regan Slater in the middle. And I know they can see chances, and I know Vipotnik probably should have scored a couple at the weekend. But on the whole, they are controlling games and they've got the physicality to actually compete. And I think it's why they're edging games a lot. And the attacking talent's there to finish off the chances. But I think maybe one of the most underrated players of the season for me, the Hull City midfielder, whose name I won't try and repeat. A London derby, Ben, we should move on to, because Millwall absolutely hammered Charlton 4-0. And I think they need to be put into the promotion race, as we mentioned again last week. I think they're a point behind Hull as we speak, but this was really, really impressive.
This is one of these difficult ones where, yes, Millwall did look like the second coming of Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, but how bad were Charlton was the problem as well. And lots of people in my seat exaggerate, don't they, to try and make their point sound more compelling and say, oh, it could have been 7-0, 8-0. This could have been 7-0, 8-0. It should have been 4-0 at half-time. If you'd have told me Coburn or Vipotnik, who's going to miss a sitter this week? No offence to Coburn. I would have thought it was Coburn. They missed exactly the same sitter. And it was just strange, wasn't it? Because you think a Nathan Jones team is just not going to go down on their sword like that. And Millwall were just so, I think it's nearly 4 XG. And in the end, they get the 2 goals in stoppage time. But very, very good value for it. I'm sure we're going to talk about a certain Scottish midfielder who's having a medical somewhere in Bermondsey or around the area as we speak, maybe, or has completed it. We'll find out maybe by the time the viewers are watching that one's been done. But got loads of quality. They've got goals. They're winning home games. The Millwall fans are very keen to point out to me when I say they're better at home that they do win away games. I'm just saying they're better at home than they are away. But that seems to be a bit of a theme generally in football, but very much in the Championship with a few teams this season. But they were miles better than Charlton, and I get why that away end emptied out, and I get why Nathan Jones had to go over and apologise there at the Den at the weekend.
He was furious, wasn't he? Millwall fans won't appreciate me saying this again, but Femi Aziz is absolutely unbelievable, isn't he? He's just ridiculous. Every time I watch him, watch 2 full 90 minutes this week of Millwall.
And you have to be quiet about their negative goal difference anymore, because it's not negative anymore.
There you go. Well, I just think I'll sing Aziz's praises, because he just makes stuff happen when he gets the ball. He takes people on. His delivery is absolutely sensational, as we saw for the opening goal.
And for the Coburn miss.
And for the Coburn miss, yeah, indeed. But he ran the length of the pitch pretty much for that one. I think he's got such a high ceiling. I know he's 24, 25, so maybe a bit older than Premier League clubs might be looking at. But in terms of quality, he's in my Championship team of the season if I was making one right now. Unbelievable. Gab, looking at the table, do we think now we could say there's a bit of a top 5 emerging in the Championship? Because if we look at Wrexham, who have snuck in, and we will talk about them shortly, there's a 5-point gap between them and Millwall, and there's obviously a massive chasing pack, including Bristol City, Watford, Preston, Stoke, Derby, and the like. But it does feel like Millwall have put a bit of breathing room in between themselves and that pack.
Yes, it does. I would argue that Hull City and Millwall are kind of like the sausage in the in the fry up. There's a breakaway between.
It's getting very Alan Partridge now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I may want to mix them, but I want that to be my decision.
Amazing.
So Wrexham are the beans here, and Millwall and Hull are the sausage, and Cov, Middlesbrough and Ipswich are the bacon. Right, we've got it. Yeah.
Right. So I think, I think Hull and Millwall, they're a bit. I'm not because I don't see either of them pushing the automatics. Either of you might disagree with that, but I think they've put themselves in a very good position when it comes to tying up a top 6 berth, because I think it's going to be quite a low tide for the playoffs this year. So I think they're kind of sandwiched in between.
We should talk about Wrexham, because they were part. I'm sorry it's taken Wrexham fans so long to talk about your game this weekend, because it was one of the most exciting endings. They were 2-1 down, then QPR got a red card in the 90th minute, and then a couple of minutes later they scored 2 goals and come away with a 3-2 win. Josh Windass making a real impact off the bench in this one, and QPR just seemed to collapse after that red card, Ben.
Yeah, and I appreciated Julian Stefan's kind of take on it. He didn't throw Mbenge, who loves a yellow card, by the way,
doesn't he? Yeah.
Under the bus. Said, look, it's 10 versus 11. You still shouldn't collapse. But you know what it's like when that first goal goes in front of the away end. And you saw Windass, he stuck it in, didn't even celebrate, straight back to the halfway line, weren't they, before Rathbone smashes it in. Brilliant from Wrexham. Are they timing this perfect? It's the first time they've been in the top 6 this season. Coincides with when maybe Wrexham have the most leverage, i.e. the last week of the transfer window, to do something else. And I'm just looking at the subs they brought into the game, Simon. Smith, who's been really good recently in Kiefer Moore's absence. Windass, who's get him on the pitch, he's quality in the Championship. Rathbone's been excellent. Dobson came in. Longman, who's done a turn at wing-back as well. And yes, Phil Parkinson's got the squad depth that maybe other second quartile playoff chasing teams don't have, but he does use it well, and they don't half stay in games. And if you stay in a game and there's a red card on 90, you might just win it. Wrexham would face Ipswich in the playoffs as we speak.
And in fact that game's happening a couple of times over the next month anyway, isn't it? Wrexham versus Ipswich, FA Cup and League fixture. Gab, on my channel, and you've seen this as well, I've been singing Wrexham and Phil Parkinson's praises, saying they can finish in the top 6 for quite a long time. Are you a believer now?
I think I'm getting there, Simon. Yeah, I've been really impressed with the link-up play. Obviously, with the Phil Parkinson side, they're not going to play 1,000 passes in their own half. But I think they do play good football when they get the ball into the opposing half. I thought Doyle's goal was a really good example of that. And I think Doyle, whether he's a left-back, whether he's left centre-half, he's very good at playing that link-up play. And then making those opportunistic runs into goal-scoring areas, which, because he's a defender, defenders don't always anticipate. And I think that was a great example of some really well-coached link-up play. So I'd have to give Phil Parkinson a lot of credit. And easy to say Wrexham have spent a lot of money to get where they have, but with every season it's such a high turnover of players because they've got to evolve the squad for the next level. That brings its own challenges, so I'd have to give Phil Parkinson a huge amount of credit.
Gab, I miss Nathan Broadhead. I miss him badly. When you were talking about link up and stuff, you've got that little Windass is the same actually. Yeah. That little X factor, dribbling edge of the box,
but selfless as well.
Maybe a bit of a luxury player, you could argue, but we said it when he signed that is Championship quality, isn't it, Broadhead?
Yeah, absolutely right. It's time for us to lock in and look at the relegation battle, because it's all going on down there now. Gab, we have mentioned Oxford already briefly this season. Given a bit of new life, I think they're 3 points away from safety now.
Yes.
What do you think of their chances of survival as we record now? Because they're definitely improving, aren't they?
Well, as things stand, I would possibly make the judgment that Oxford might accumulate more points than Charlton between now and the end of the season. It's whether they can accumulate 6 more points than Charlton, so that they overtake them in the last 18 games. Some big question marks over Blackburn Rovers. Fans are protesting at Ewood Park, so whereas at... So whereas at Fratton Park, you saw in the second half of that derby on Sunday what a fortress they can create, which they did last season. They've got a chance of putting together some really good home form in the second half of the season and maybe blooding a few noses. I don't know about Blackburn. I actually think they've possibly got better individual players, but actually in terms of that home fortress, I don't know if Blackburn have got that.
I would also point out, by the way, on Blackburn, 1 win in 14 it is now for them, which is just dreadful, and that's across all competitions. But you look at that and you just think they're 9-4 with Betfred, by the way, to go down at the time of recording. And I just think, as Gab says, it's a club that doesn't have much positivity about it right now. And we've said they've been circling the drain and the owner issues behind the scenes. Can Valérien Ismaël keep them up? I'm not so sure anymore, Ben.
It looks worrying, doesn't it? And I sat here a couple of months ago and said Big Val is doing a pretty good job in very, very testing circumstances. I think they had a little streak of 3-4 wins, possibly. Them going to Leicester, and Alabiosa, the right back, looked like a great signing, and Good Johnson was more scoring goals as well. And it looked like he was bleeding blood out of a stone, if I'm mixing my metaphors there. And I'm not saying I was wrong about that. I'll leave the comments to that. But I could have been right, and that could have been the peak of the season, the best it was going to get for Blackburn. It's very concerning.
Good performance at Leicester hasn't aged as well as it potentially could
fair
have
comment.
Well.
Yeah, fair comment.
Who we thought they were.
I think Gab makes a good point about Charlton maybe finishing with more points than Oxford but scoring fewer. And I wonder whether we'll look back. I think round 14, Charlton were 5th or 6th. Wonder whether their hard work, their heavy lifting has been done in terms of the relegation, and we're looking back and saying that's what might keep them up, because the trend is for them downwards. And you're right, Pompey is a united front. They might do a bit more in the window on top of what they've done. And you talk about Simon home stadiums and whatnot. Well, I bet you Pompey win a few coin flip home games with the Fratton Roar between now and the end of the season. So I think I'm most concerned about Blackburn now in terms of a team that would be outside. Oh no, I mean they're literally in it as we speak. So,
by the way, can we agree as a podcast that it's 2 from 6 now? Because obviously Sheffield Wednesday we're ruling out. So I think it's. I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty sure Norwich are going to get away from it.
I would rule Norwich out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So let's say Charlton, West Brom, Portsmouth, Blackburn and Oxford. I don't think there's, in terms of the two teams, I don't think it's going to come outside that group.
Can I throw another name in again?
Agree.
Okay, go
Leicester City?
Oh, yeah, with the points deduction.
If they get, I mean, it's all if, buts and maybes, but as we said, if they get that managerial appointment wrong, if they get a 9-point deduction, they have the similar thing at home to Blackburn, where the atmosphere is not
having
there.
Abdel Fattah, we were getting relegated to League One.
Imagine that. But we talked about him, massive praise at the start of the season. How many times have we talked about him on the show that recently? He scored that late goal at West Brom against West Brom, but he's not doing enough for that team yet either. So I just think. Blackburn are way more likely to get relegated than Leicester, but they could get dragged into it.
Also, if Leicester get a 9-point deduction, they're level on points with Blackburn.
There you go. And that will really put the cat amongst the pigeons, I think.
Can I just say, if you follow the money, you can have a very easy argument that even if Leicester do get a deduction, they'll have enough. And I think as well, we're talking about West Brom. I know we haven't seen a lot from Eric Ramsey yet. Surely there's enough. We said this about Luton, didn't we? Surely there's enough in that squad.
What I would worry, though, Ben, is that I think Eric Ramsey's style of play and what he wants to do is too ambitious in season, because they're playing they played in his first game in charge, I think, a wing-back system with wingers playing as the wing-backs, and I just don't know if that works necessarily for an in-season appointment where you're trying to steady the ship.
You could be right.
I think the late equaliser they got at Derby, wasn't it, Friday night, is so important.
Is that the muggiest type of goal as well? The one that doesn't even hit the net,
You don't even get to celebrate it, just the referee pointing one way.
Well,
I think if you look at that in terms of if he'd have lost his opening 3 games, it's really bad. If they've now ended, 10-11 defeats on the road in a row,
yes,
on course for, and he's managed to stop that run, I do think that is...
And we've got a juicy fixture for West Brom in the preview, I tell you, haven't we?
Yes, we have indeed, absolutely. We'll get onto that in a little bit. What do you think then? You think West Brom are in serious danger?
I think they're in there, yeah. I would possibly... Charlton, just on the basis of the squad, I would probably put them before West Brom in terms of relegation candidates, because I think Charlton got a lot of points early on because Nathan Jones sort of created a fortress, but I think as that effect has waned a little bit, the calibre of the squad, which is a lot of League One players, I think that's come to light a bit more. So I think the next 10 days, the transfer window, absolutely huge for Charlton.
It's only 2 wins in 12 for them, and they've made a couple of defensive additions already. But yeah, I worry that we can say, have they done their work already, or do you then take that bit of the season out and look at their form book over the last 20 games pretty much? And they've not been a very good team at all. They've been a relegation form side.
Remember when Hull shipped out Bowen and Grzycki, and they were quite high up the league. And you can have it where it doesn't matter if you've done your work already. You're right, Simon. If you're tumbling down the table, all it takes is a few Oxford wins, some Pompey home wins, and there you go, bottom 3.
If we're looking at the prices, Portsmouth 11-8, Norwich and Leicester both 5-1 for relegation. This is West Brom 11-2, Charlton 11-4, Blackburn 9-4, and Oxford 4-7. Which of those prices would take your fancy then, Gab? I'm surprised that West Brom are 11-2, given that Leicester and Norwich are 5-1. That's saying that West Brom are less likely to get relegated than Norwich are. I wouldn't agree with that.
Interesting. I would say, if I can just have a look there, I think West Brom are 11-2. That's a huge price, I think. Yeah, I'd probably be looking at West Brom and Charlton. I don't know what you think in terms of the odds.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think Blackburn at 9-4, given we've had a conversation there and suggested that they are in a bit of trouble, is probably where I'd lean towards. Certainly, if we were deciding between Oxford and Blackburn right now, who's going to finish higher? Would you have more faith in Oxford or Blackburn?
Oh, crikey! This is without the knowledge of what happens between now and the end of the window. We do think Blackburn have got a Sol Maktar Gay, didn't they? They might have something to play with, but we know Venky's even getting the money into the country, let alone giving it to Big Val to spend it, has been an issue there. So I don't know. I always have my same theories. Owners relegate clubs, chaos relegates clubs, size relegates clubs, and bad luck relegates clubs. And Oxford fans won't like me saying it, but size in terms of scope and budget, and owners and chaos at Blackburn might be the issues if Pompey can stay united. And I think John Massinio, keep him there, keep things growing. Do not turn there.
Right. So who goes down with Wednesday? That's what we need to decide. Or Gab, at least put your 2 names forward. I can start on this one. I'm going to go for Blackburn, and I'm going to back Oxford to miraculously get out of it. And just for a bit of excitement, I think Portsmouth might have enough. Norwich will definitely have enough.
Definitely ending with Leicester here, isn't he?
Charlton are in there. Yeah, all right. Should I just say it? Yeah, Leicester. Let's put Leicester in the bottom 3. There you go. Let's have that points deduction we've all been waiting for, eh? Leicester and Blackburn to go down for me.
I am going to go with... I'm going to still say Oxford for now. I may change my mind on that if they can put a bit of a longer run together. I'm going to say Oxford for now, and I'm going to go with Blackburn Rovers.
Ooh. West Brom just doing enough.
West Brom, well, yeah, I think so. Just about.
I think the only way West Brom go is if it's one of those horrible 3-manager seasons and Eric Ramsey lasts 12 games or what have you, and they decide this isn't right, and I don't know.
They've got a very good squad.
Name 50-year-old manager who's managed in the Championship before to come in for the last 6 games or what have you. I'll go with what Gab said, and it's a bit dull. It's the existing bottom 3, just on the basis that the trend up needed for Oxford feels more difficult, and the trend of Pompey, Norwich, etc. feels like it's upwards. Although it looked like it was going to be a real ragtaggle total, you do now have Blackburn in the bottom 3 posting over a point per game. So we might get up 48, 49. It was 49 with Luton last season, and we were discussing round 46. We might have another chaotic final day where I think we had like 4 could go down or something in that last place last year. So bring on the pain, if only for my entertainment. We don't want to see anyone go down, but spoiler alert, 3 teams are going to go down.
Absolutely, and we're going to finish by doing our weekend previews. Unfortunately, we can't talk about Coventry or Norwich because we don't know how they did on Monday night, and Norwich have got a very interesting game playing Middlesbrough this weekend. Unfortunately, we can't preview that one, but what a game this is, Gab. Portsmouth versus West Brom, and we've just done a bit of a relegation battle / preview. I mean, this has gargantuan consequences for both teams, this game.
I think so, yeah. I think Portsmouth would see West Brom's form, 1 point from 3 games under Eric Ramsey, and some stylistic concerns. I would probably look at it from Portsmouth's point of view. I would bombard the box because I don't know how good Max O'Leary is when it comes to commanding his area. Even in the
Derby. It was a tough debut, wasn't it?
Yeah, even in the Derby game, he looked like he was sort of coming for not 100% sure. And I would think, you want to get the Fratton end up and you want to put him under pressure, and I think Portsmouth can do that. So I think Portsmouth might win that.
I think Fratton Park form is massively important for them staying up this season. What do you reckon on this one, Ben?
Yeah, you're right about Chris Meffam's goal, but that is still 10 defeats in a row and a last-minute draw, and I'm sure John Mousinho is going to be making that point. You're very good at home, they're not very good away, and it is a proper, real somebody in. Yeah, look, it's an overtake as well, isn't it? Pompey would overtake West Brom if they beat them. So
with 2 games in hand as well.
One of them is against Ipswich, which is obviously a guaranteed defeat, Gad. I jest.
Portsmouth have only lost 1 out of the last 5.
Yes, yeah, and they're coming good at a good time in the season for sure. I wonder. I mean, if you're a West Brom fan, you would take a 0-0 right now. No overtake. Give Ramsey a bit more time to build in with your in-season point, which I do agree with.
Yeah.
The whole Bielsa will never take it. I'm not saying Eric Ramsey's Marcelo Bielsa, but never take a job in season. If you've got a very specific way of playing, you need those 6 weeks.
Either that or be willing to work with what you've got until the end of the season, find a better way of doing with it until the summer.
I think the goal difference is interesting as well. Oxford -9, Blackburn -11, Portsmouth -13, West Brom though -12, and if Portsmouth get one over on them here, they will have the worst goal difference of those relegation candidates.
And Luton went on goal difference last year, Simon, so absolutely. It is pertinent, isn't it?
Absolutely pertinent. Score predictions. I think I'm leaning towards Portsmouth here. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Pompey win. Gab, how about you?
I'm going to go 1-0 to Portsmouth.
One for the ages. A riveting spectacle. 0-0.
West Brom probably quite happy with that though.
I think so, yeah.
They'd probably take that. Ipswich Preston, Ben, up next. One team has lost at the weekend, as I've mentioned quite a few times. Preston in dreadful form. Ipswich, massive favourite, surely getting back to winning ways, you think?
You would hope so. And again, I will raise away Armageddon coming up straight after this game. Ipswich need to put the 3 points on the board, especially with Borough in particularly fine form. Ipswich have been very good at home. I think 7 wins in a row in all comps at home. Will we see, as we mentioned, Mehmeti straight into the 10 to solve that particular issue? But yeah, Preston's form's honking at the moment. This past week does feel like a home win to me.
Yeah, home win to 0 potentially with Preston's goal scoring troubles. Gab, what do you reckon?
Yes, I think Ipswich Town, I expect them to get back to winning ways. I'm going to go 2-0 to the hosts.
2-0. I'll go 3-0. What about you, Ben?
Shall we go for it to be really uncomfortable and cringy and difficult for the Portman Road faithful? I will go 2-1. And funnily enough, Ipswich are looking for some favours from none other than Norwich City, who play Coventry and Middlesbrough across the next 2 games.
East Anglia stands together.
Yeah, you said that, not me. The Ipswich forums will destroy me again.
Oxford versus Birmingham, last game we are previewing on this show. By the way, stay tuned for later in the week because our Sportsman Extra show is about Millwall versus Sheffield United. Really looking forward to that one. But Oxford versus Birmingham, Gab. Birmingham's away struggles sort of continue, and Oxford looking, as we've mentioned a few times on the show, revived.
Yeah, I think with Birmingham, there's a hope that the additions of Kai Wagner, who's a star in the MLS and very good left back, hopefully can translate that into the Championship. August Priest has signed as well. We've added a bit of pace in attacking areas too. So there is a little bit of hope that those additions can make a difference. I think away from home, we've had real difficulty imposing ourselves. And we're facing an Oxford United side that probably at the wrong time you'd have maybe wanted to take them, a couple of weeks earlier. I'm going to go for a draw in that one. I'm going to go 1 apiece.
It's remarkable that Birmingham, for all the struggles, and I think it was about the pre-season hype, and we've been disappointed with them on the whole. Still only 5 points off the playoffs, Ben. It's not the end of the world for them, and obviously they need to start winning games and closing that gap, but still a distinct possibility they end the season in the top 6.
I'm going to talk about the amount of traffic, though, in between Blues and that.
And they might need to start winning games away from home if that is the case.
It's interesting, Gab's point, though, about January. That does feel like maybe not the midfielder Solis, but the other three, feels like a big tweak. First team players as well. And I know Birmingham have got the kind of power financially and the reach to bring people in now, but that feels bold, and it's very difficult to use that January window and really build your team. So that could be something really interesting. I do like the draw, though. Like Gab, we still haven't seen ridiculously high 111 point bar. We still haven't seen that sheer dominance from Chris Davies that we think they could be capable of if he can coach these players, but that takes time, and it takes even longer if you're adding another 4 in January. So definitely agree with the point. It's a bad time to play Oxford as well. Yeah,
just to add to that, Ben, I think our recruitment has been questioned a little bit because it was very contact-led. It was people that Craig Gardner, our technical director, knows, who Chris Davis knows, and maybe that when that happens, you'd maybe question whether we're casting our net wide enough and doing all the right things with recruitment. I'm hoping that with going for Osman on loan from Brighton, Jon Solis as well, some of the additions I'm hoping that are going to show a little bit more in terms of the quality of recruitment and the searches and all that kind of thing. So hopefully we can have a good window, which I'm not sure it was necessarily brilliant in the summer. I think that was a bit hit and miss. Maybe that can make a difference.
Yeah, I don't think anyone saw Kyogo being it sounds harsh, such a miss. We all thought he'd do better than he has. Right, guys, that's all for today's show. Hopefully somebody, by the way, has remembered to press record on the cameras, because producer Seb's not here.
Oh, God.
Get well soon, producer Seb. He's having knee surgery today. We'll hopefully see you back here soon. Get your thoughts down in the comments down below, and we'll be back later in the week for our Millwall preview. That's all for us for now. We'll see you next time.